Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Spiritual Hope on YouTube. Thanks for checking in. Please like and subscribe to this video. I also run a page on Facebook called Spiritual Hope and Encouragement. That's AMD. You can like and follow me on that. I post a lot of motivational, encourage-based, spiritual, uplifting kind of content. I'd appreciate if y'all would check it out. This video I've wanted to make for a very long time. It's a little bit controversial, but it's very prevalent in my life and many people's lives. It's probably the biggest issue we face as a nation, as a world, really. Deals with drug addiction, and the title of this video is going to be called "Choice versus Disease Unification." The reason I'm putting unification on the end of it is because these two schools of thought are very divided. Anybody that's battled addiction or has a loved one going through it, you'll see this argument a lot. It's all over the internet, in forums, on YouTube. People get very angry. People that believe it's a disease, they get enraged at the mere mention that this thing could be a choice. People that believe it's a choice, they kind of think that the people that cling to the disease card are copping out a little bit, not taking accountability. I want to put a disclaimer. This video is not to prove either side correct or incorrect. I'm just going to speak my thoughts on it. I am a recovering addict. I have faced addiction on a very dark and deep level, not casual use. So please don't try to come at me with any you don't understand. My belief is it is mostly choice. It is both. I do believe it's both. I believe it's about 75% choice, 25% disease, and I'm going to tell you why. Um, but I want to say, with that said, I am very thankful that it is labeled a disease for the simple reason that in 2020 and in the time we're in, um, an addict on the street can walk into any hospital and pretty much get a full ride into rehab, into halfway houses, into recovery programs. And I think that's amazing. I wouldn't want society, modern medicine, or the powers to be to change it back to a choice. But on a personal level, I'm going to tell you why I think it's a choice. But first, let's dive into the people that believe it's disease. I've had a lot of anger in forums and other places on the internet where I've challenged some people to this debate, and they've came at me. Oh, uh, the biggest misconception with the disease belief is the people that believe this. They cling to the fact that scientists and doctors and therapists came up with this extensive research and figured out that this was a disease and that's why it's labeled as a disease. So they think that people that believe choice are coming strictly from a perspective of opinion. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. Yes, there is a little bit of science, there is some research, there was some medical studies done, there was some, but the biggest reason that we're standing on 2020 with this thing as a concrete written on paper, passed in bills uh, through insurance companies as a disease is one reason and one reason only: money. Um, Alcoholism was the first classification of the disease model in the late 50s. And it wasn't until the late 80s, almost 1990, that drug addiction got put in that spectrum as well. So think about that for a second. We're landing in 1990, and now alcoholism and drug addiction are now labeled a disease. It wasn't really pushed through with insurance companies or doctors or programs to basically cover the addict until almost the late 90s, almost into like the early 2000s, and in some states, just about in the last couple years. Now it pretty much is across the board. You can walk into any hospital, any clinic, any doctor's office, and you won't be judged. You'll be treated according to the new pattern. So why do you think that is? From the 50s, almost 50 something years it took for insurance companies to fully get on board. I'm going to tell you why. It's $1 trillion industry, okay? The people that are standing on the rock of it's a disease and all these smart Harvard medical scientific professional people came up with this. Well, if you're going to stand on the rock of modern medicine as um, the word of God, the problem with that is this: modern medicine created most of this epidemic. I mean, are we not seeing that now with drug companies getting sued left and right? They were downplaying, how addictive the opiates were, um, putting out narcotics for the last 20, 30 years. So now they jump on board and they want to cash in on both ends. So to stand on disease and act like it comes from this like super solid place and that choice comes from opinion only is just it's incorrect. Most of the reason that disease is the big push is for money. Programs are making money hand over fist. Methadone clinics are making money hand over fist. Doctors' offices are making money hand over fist. Hospitals, rehabs. I mean, back in the 60s and 70s, rehab was a very foreign concept to a drug addict that was homeless. I mean, it was something that only musicians and actors were really going to rehabs back then because it wasn't covered. It was very expensive. Like I said, I'm glad that today a drug addict can walk into any hospital and if he wants help, get help. I'm a product of that. I have over a year and a half clean. That's the exact route I took. I walked into a hospital and I told them I want to better my life. Um, a year to a year and a half of bouncing around in programs and rehabs and recovery houses, and I haven't picked up in over a year. But I'd like to unify these two schools of thought because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what you believe, disease, choice. Um, the object, the goal is to get clean, is to better your life, is to get off the crap. But why I believe it's a choice because when I was out there ripping and running, lying, manipulating, downplaying it, breaking relationships, being unemployable. There was never a part in my active addiction where I couldn't have made a better choice for myself. Yes, I believe that some of it is predisposition, some of it is, the addict's brain is different than the non-addict's brain. But I'll say this: there's never a part of my story, and I was addicted to crack cocaine, methamphetamines, heroin, daily use, tons of money, lying, stealing, being in crack houses at 3 a.m. And here's my thing, and I held myself to this same fire. If you're a mother or a father and you have babies at home and you're in a crack house at 3 a.m., I'm sorry, but you don't get to just say, I'm here because I have a disease. You're making a choice, okay? And when you finally hit rock bottom, and for some of us, that's prison, rehabs, whatever, what have you. Um, for me, when I first got into the programs and they started preaching the disease, I saw a lot of people they instantly grabbed that card because I mean it's like the perfect get out of jail free card. I mean, some of these people have burned people, stole thousands of dollars from their families, and robbed and stealed, and some of them even killed people. And they get that you have a disease card, and it's like, whew, oh, that wasn't me, it was my disease. I went the other route. I had to spend a lot of time trying to heal from some of the relationships I broke and just taking accountability, that I made a lot of those horrible choices. And, now that I'm off the crap, I can make better choices. Um, so it's sad that this argument is bringing forth so much hatred, and where you see this really the most is, I mean, in the last couple of years with Narcan coming about. I mean, here comes a drug that can save thousands and thousands of lives, and you have some people out there that actually were against saving lives. They were from standing on the rock that drug addicts don't deserve a second chance. And you know what? It's true. Sometimes you're going to revive somebody with that Narcan, and the very next night or 2 nights later, they're going to be out doing the same fucking thing. So, yeah, in some instances, it is a get out of jail free card. But you know what? Who the fuck are we to say that people deserve to die because they're going through something? So, if you're one of those people, as far as I'm concerned, you're worse than any drug addict ever was. Nobody gets to stand on their high horse and say that these people deserve to die because think about all the stories of people that overcame, that were revived by Narcan and now they speak to schools or kids or, they tell their testimony and they inspire other people addicted to drugs. So if you're watching this and you're going through addiction or your family members are going through addiction, like I said, just try to unify in this division. It doesn't matter if you believe choice. It doesn't matter if you believe disease. The goal is to unify communities, families, people going through addiction, and just understand that whatever you have to believe to get yourself through it um, is really what needs to happen. I'm so tired of this argument back and forth, and I felt like I wanted to touch base on it a little bit, and some of the misconceptions of the people that that think that the disease model is so sound because it comes from these like medical journals, not missing the point that, that word got coverage in $1 trillion industry. So you had $1 trillion sitting up here in this little bubble. It took that word, disease, boom, payday for everybody. So, if you're one of those people that believes in disease and you're like angry and so pissed off at the world at anyone who mentions choice, you know, I look at it like this. If you're an addict and you believe that, well, maybe you need to look a little deeper and realize that, during your active addiction, when you neglected your family, your friends, your lovers, I mean, it's a bitter pill to swallow to understand that you may have to take on some of that responsibility. I did. I mean, I was in it for 4 or 5 years, and I lost 25-year friendships. And I only got better by looking in the mirror and saying, you know what, that was me, you know. Um, Another thing I want to maybe bring to the attention is, a lot of people that really struggle to grasp the choice. I was arguing with this lady, and she was throwing the word around, addiction is a disease, addiction is a disease. So, okay, so let's look at it like this. Where do you draw the line? Because now they're saying all addiction is a disease, not just drug addiction, not just alcoholism. So I asked this lady one simple question. I said, so you're telling me if your husband of 20 years were to have 3 or 4 affairs during the course of your marriage, and he lands himself in a psychiatric hospital, and the doctor diagnoses him with sex addiction, are you going to have the same sympathy on this man? And she's like, well, that's not the same. I said, it's absolutely the same. I mean, where do you draw the line? In every addiction, we make choices. The food addict who is dying and the doctor is telling them, you have 3 months to live, and they have kids at home, but they still go home and stuff, 45 Twinkies in their mouth. Yes, making the fact that you have the addiction, um, the disease part of it may make it hard, but just because things are hard because it is a disease doesn't mean you can't make a choice. Lots of things are hard. It's hard to stay faithful to your wife. It's hard to eat healthy. It's hard to get off of drugs. It's hard to get off of booze. Um, so, you know, they've pretty much classified all addiction as a disease. So start going through all the addictions and ask yourself, would you give the same sympathy to a cheating spouse? Would you give the same sympathy to somebody who is eating 25,000 calories a day? I think when you start to really think of it with an open mind, it's not that hard to understand that, the vast majority of these things are a choice. And that's just my personal belief. Like I said, I wish everybody going through it, you know, um, good luck. And like I said, this channel is mostly going to be about encouragement and motivation and trying to uplift people. I love all y'all. Like I said, this isn't really to divide people. I'm hoping that this perspective can maybe open somebody's mind and realize that we got to unify. We got to take back these streets. We have to take back our families. We have to take back our lives, and it's not going to come from people fighting over the particulars of why people are doing this. It's about getting them help. It's about getting politicians on board. It's about, stopping the crap. And people have swept this under the rug for far too fucking long. I mean, if you're a spiritual person, if you're a political person, if you sit there screaming at the television because Donald Trump's president or this person's mayor, and you're not thinking that, the biggest issue that we face in 2020, not only as Americans, as in any country, is drug addiction. It's killing our kids. It's killing the streets. It's killing everybody. And it's bigger than anything. It's bigger than any political issue that's at the forefront. So we need to unify in this matter, and we need to, we can't hate this thing away. We can't hate our way into fixing drug addiction. It's going to take empathy, compassion, and love. And I love each and every one of you, and I hope somebody got a little something out of this video. Like and subscribe, please, and I'm going to try to make a lot more videos in the next coming weeks. Thank you, guys.